Hi, this is Edith, Educational Technologist at Oregon Tech, and in this video I am going to go over the Page Layout tab. The Page Layout tab is very similar to the one that's in Microsoft Word, with, of course, differences that are, for Excel. So we have themes. I did talk about that in the other video, but of course I'm talking about this video, so I don't want to distract too much from it. So you could pick any of these kinds of settings, and they will actually change. You saw my font change when I did that. So it has like fonts, it has background colors, it has all kinds of information that just makes for a different type of presentation if that's what you would like to work with. A lot of these videos that I am doing is mostly about how to set up a document for presentation and hopefully creating a little bit more engagement with students and or whomever you're working with on these items here or these pages. But anyway, not to digress too much, you can also change the colors scheme. And, I would imagine that if I had just started this, that I can, I would have been able to do it for just for this document and created the document from beginning. Which unfortunately I hadn't have done because, this was something that I had pulled up from before. You can also, we have that highlight option where if you, or a preview option where if you go over these fonts right here, you can see how it's going to change and look. You might want to find a font that's a little bit smaller that fits into the cells versus being outside of the cells like this is right here. So I can actually double click that and make it the right size. And how you do that is you just make sure you have that plus sign with the 2 arrows going either way. You can just double click on it and it will actually move the cell to fit the data. And again, I want to stress about the fonts. You can see I did pick one that has serif in it. It does have the kind of fancy little tabs at the tops. If you have a student with a vision disability or dyslexia, you just may want to consider not using these types of fonts because it's harder for them to read. So as I've mentioned before, I will be mentioning this in every video just because it is something that we need to keep in mind, especially being an educational institution, that we do have individuals that do have certain needs. Effects. So if you have graphics within your document, you can change the effects of how they look and give them a glow or something to that effect. So, it's something that I recommend just working with if you like changing things around. I don't really change much around. I do typically stay with the gray colors, and that's just for printing purposes because if you use all these fancy colors and you're printing, you may use up a lot of ink if you have a color printer, or you're just wasting time creating all of these pretty documents if you're doing it to a black and white printer. So, but if you're doing a presentation and using it in PowerPoint or a Prezi presentation, then absolutely, use colors, make it more engaging for those involved. Don't stick with my colors. I have a tendency to go to purples and pinks, but it's all up to you. Margins, you can set your margins here. You can do a custom margin or you can take the defaults. And again, a lot of these are just defaults from the system. I don't change very much, but just so you know where to find these things. You can change your orientation. So say this document does not show all of my information on one screen, I can change it to landscape, and then I can maybe make it so that it does fit to one screen in landscape version versus portrait. And I do that for a lot of my Excel spreadsheets, and you can see right here there's a break in here, and that is to show me my page breaks, those dotted lines there. So if I was to change my orientation again, you will probably see it move. So there it is over here. And I do have, it doesn't look like it's that big of a screen, but I imagine that if I go to file, let's look at print preview, see if we can see, you can see how it is. So I could actually change some of these columns if I chose to make it smaller, but I just wanted to show you that there is a line that shows you where the line is for the printing. And so you know, just be aware that you may go outside the margin area, and so the system will remind you that you need to print. So here's my print lines again here on C and I. So I will actually be printing 3 sheets instead of just 1. I can change my margins too and say, you know, I want a narrow margin, and that might help open it up. So you can see now I moved down to 2 pages here. So you have a bunch of options here to work with. You know, I can get rid of columns. If I right click here, I could just delete. And now I've gotten rid of columns, and I can move these columns over to just to show you how I can move that line just a little bit more. But, you know, I'm still stuck with 2 sheets. So perhaps this is when I would go to landscape. And so you can see I just made it right here. So that's, you know, be aware that you have these tools available to you so that, you know, you can save yourself some time in the long run. It sometimes feels overwhelming at first, but I promise it gets a lot easier as you go along. You can also change the size of the paper. Most people use letter. It is the default for the system. So, you know, if you need a different size, you can go through here. You have more options here as well. Print area. What's kind of nice about print area is say I just want to print the products and the parts. For some reason, it won't let me grab that. Okay, because of this merge cell probably right here. So I'm going to just unmerge it real quick. Here, let's take that off. Okay, so I'm going to come back to page layout. Say I just want to print the parts and the product and the part number. Then I can actually just say select print area, and then only that will be printed. And so how I could double check that is I can always go over to my print menu, and you can see that I have it there. It should be relatively easy. You can see that it's a darker line that's actually around the information that I wanted to print. It's a little harder to see on my small screen, so but I just want you to be aware there is a line that does follow where you asked it to set the print area. You can clear the print area, and you can kind of see that line kind of disappeared. Again, I have a really small screen, so it may not show up so well in the video, but it is there, I promise. You know, and if it's not, we could talk about it some more. Say I want this information on 2 different pages. So what I would recommend is you highlight the row where you want the break to occur, and just click on break. And I can insert a page break. So now when I am printing, so let's go back here. This is really big on the print, as you can see. I have one of 4 pages. And the reason why I have these 2 extra pages is just because of I might have had some information over there that was getting picked up. So, you know, here's the second page. You can see down here, this is where I'm changing the pages at. And this is the first page. Now, say I didn't like that break there, I can actually remove the page break. And now I should be able to go back over there, and everything should be basically on 1 page. It will be 3 pages because, again, like I said, down below here in my document, I have some other information that's obviously the system is picking up on. But you can see here's where my break is. Again, there's that dotted line we were talking about. So you can actually see where the breaks are. And I can go here and I can look at the page break preview, and I can see exactly what's on these pages. So here's page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. So I had some information in page 3 and page 4 that was getting picked up, or it may just be because of the margin here. So that's how I can also view it in that sense. So that's this icon down here, which gives me the multi-page view. But I'm going to go back to my normal view. Okay, So the next thing we can check out is the background. So you can actually set a background. You can see you can get it from a file from SharePoint, which we don't have active quite yet, but it will be coming soon, and I will be doing videos about that as well, and providing training as well. And you could do a Bing search engine. So let's say I want elephants on this page for the background. I don't know why. Let's pick this one here. And I'm going to go ahead and hit insert. So that's what happens is I can actually have a background of elephants that show up on the back of my screen. It's not the prettiest thing, but know that you can do it. So you decide you don't want a background, delete background. That easy. It's just a fun tool. It can help with engagement. Again, just to liven things up. I think sometimes we get stuck in this, you got to be this way or that way. And, as a computer person, I should be a little bit more logical, but I feel that I'm more creative in some ways. And in these instances, I like to bring in things that at least make somebody want to look at my page. So it's just a personal choice. Print titles. So you can actually create a print area. Say I want to put a header up here, this is going to show up on every page. Let's go back to the normal view. I'm kind of in a weird view right now, and I'm not happy with it. Okay, so you can't see my header now, but let's go ahead and go back to page layout. But I can actually say, you know what, on every page, I want A1 through I1 all to go across every single page, so that I know when I go to the second page, this will be at the top, so that I don't have to keep typing it in or trying to find where the next page is. It will automatically do that. So I can actually say, go ahead and print titles. I want the area A1 to I1. Or, this is the print area. I'm sorry. Let's cancel that. Let's go back in here. Down here, rows to repeat at the top. So I could put A1 to I1. And the way I do that is with the semicolon between the two, as you can see here, I1. And so I can also repeat the columns. Maybe I want all of this information on the side here. I could also repeat those. Let's go ahead and try it. It's not going to hurt anything. So A1 to A39. The other options you have that are available in here, of course, you got your page margins and headers and footers, and of course that's going to be stuff that you find up here. You can add grid lines to your print. So if you want it to be set so that they can, the users who get these this document either has grid lines on it, or when you email it, they get the grid lines. I could do black and white, draft quality, row and column headings. I could do down then over for my page order, or I can do over and then down. And if you want to see how it's going to print, this will show you. And then you can go to print preview, and you can see here's my header, here's my A1 through I1. Now let's see what happens when we go to page 2. Should have product. See, so the product part stayed up there as well as my header. Let's go to page 3, and there's that columns that I set up. They're going to continue on, and then so they are all on every single page. So that's how you can set those things up. Again, this is one of those things, trial and error. Figure out what's going to work for you best, and do whatever you can to create the right document for yourself. You could change your width. I leave it at automatic. It is the default set by Microsoft. But you could do 3 pages. You can do 3 pages by 3 pages. So it just depends on what you like to do. But I again suggest leave it unless you want to do it the other way, leave it on automatic. Here's your grid lines. Do we want to view them? See, I can actually go through Excel without ever having to look at the view lines. I can turn them off anytime I want, and I will know where I am because I can go in here and move my cursor around, and you'll also see that right here it's telling me where my cursor is also located. I prefer looking at them. Here's where you also can turn on and off the print. So I don't have to print that. So then if you do like having the grid lines, but you don't want your users to see the grid lines because you just want a clean sheet, you can actually turn off the grid lines that way. You can view and print the headings, and we saw how that worked. So bringing forward and behind an object, you know, so if I want to bring in maybe an arrow, let's go ahead and grab an arrow. Let's grab one of these, and I'm going to go ahead and do like this. I'll rotate it a little bit. So you can see this is where my theme came in. Let's go back to the page layout. See, this is where this came in. What if I change my colors? See, this is where you would see how it is being affected by the themes. Maybe I want to change the theme to something else, but I'm going to leave it this way for right now. So perhaps I don't want this arrow in front of the information. I can actually, well, I want to bring it to the front, or I want to bring it forward, but I want to send it back. Send to back. Why are you not sending backwards? Well, it's not doing what I'm hoping it was supposed to do, but normally it would send it behind the text or in front of the text, and it may be just because it's two different things that I'm working with. This is an older document, so again, something to play with. See, so it's supposed to go back behind things, but it's just not doing what it's supposed to do, and I'm not exactly sure why it doesn't want to do that unless I go into my drawing tools and I send it backwards. Let's see. Nope, it still doesn't want to do it. So, but basically, you know, it's really embarrassing when things don't work the way you expect it to, but basically play with it, see if you can get it to work, but this is how you would do it in that instance. So I'm going to go ahead and move that out of the way, and we'll set it right here for now. And, you know, I'm hoping at least the intention of what it's supposed to do is getting across. Selection pane. So this shows me how many things how many objects I have within my document. Perhaps I want to go to, so inking is when I was doing a drawing video earlier. This is the ink, the last ink I did, so I can actually go there. Or here's the arrow that I had. So, you know, I can hide them all too. I don't even have to show them. There's nothing there. Or I can show them all. I have choices, so this is just what that does. So it brings up this navigation bar basically for you. Alignment, of course, you know, we want to snap to grid, snap to shape, you know, view grid lines. So you have all kinds of options also available in here. You know, your align left, align center. Again, I'm not exactly sure why why all of this is being grayed out. So if I find out why, and I can always redo the video. So if you see a new video up, this is probably why at some point. So I wanted to kind of see if we could do a group though. Let's see if we can get that to go together. So I'm going to go ahead and do another shape and go in here and go back to page layout. And so I'm going to select both. Yes, I can group. So what I did here is I selected one, I held my control key, and I selected the other one. The other thing you could do if you have multiple shapes or objects that you want to group together, and you can hold down your control key or you can hold down your shift key. Either one works. The control key, you just have a better chance of selecting everything that you want versus the control key. I mean the shift key. So now I'm going to click group, and you're going to see this changed all into one box that I can actually move around and manipulate. You know, I can change the direction and all of that. So it's sometimes very useful, especially if you're doing documents like I do where I have graphics and I want them to stick together. This is how you would keep them from coming apart. Or you move one and the other one doesn't move with it. This just keeps them all together. But if you decide later on you really don't want them to be grouped together because you want to get rid of them, you can ungroup. And now I can move my items any which way I want. Or I can regroup them because I've already selected them. So now I changed it the way I liked it, and I can say, okay, I really like that. I like it that way, or no, I don't like it that way. I'm going to move my arrow up here, and I'm going to put my triangle here, and this is what I want it to look like, something like this. Now I can click group, regroup again, and now I have that picture instead of the other one that I was working with. Again, let me stress, make copies of your original document if you're going to be manipulating data or graphics within your document, because any changes that you save along the way, you cannot undo with the undo button if you're saving. Just keep that in mind. That has nothing to do with autosave. It's just saving the document. I have a tendency to save my documents every 5 minutes, whether it's autosave or just because I click on save, or when I make a really significant change that I know that I want to keep, I'll save it at that time. So just be aware that you may want to have a copy of the original, just so that if you have anything that you really just decided this was just a total gaggle, that can I please go back to the original document and start from there again, instead of starting from the document all the way from the beginning. Okay, so that being said, and my lecture is over, I can actually take this object and I can rotate it, and it gives me options of rotating, and I can also preview it before I make the rotation. I can also go into more rotation, and then I can actually do a lock aspect ratio. I have all of these options that are available to me, how I would maybe want to make some changes of the shape. But for rotation, you can choose here, I only want to rotate this much. You can see that I've changed it. And it's kind of going around in a circle, and it's kind of cool, and it's fun, and oh, that's the perfect spot, so I can just stop right there. So that makes it a lot easier. And at this point, if you haven't hit save and you don't like the way it is, undo, and it brings it right back to the beginning. So that's the page layout tab, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions, comments, feedback, or I haven't shown you something that you're really interested in, please contact me, edith.warden@oit.edu, extension 51730, and find me on Skype, Edith Warden, and I would be glad to IM or video conference with you or set up a meeting time. Thank you, and have a great day.